And what's funny is like, I think we talked about it before, but like what they will do in prison in the micro as an experiment, like you said, they just export it to the macro, like the distancing, stay 6 feet away. You know, I remember in juvenile hall, that was a fucking thing, you know? Like,
Yep.
yeah, man, keeping the races divided, you know, keeping each other at people's throats, you know, moving dudes around, you know, messing with the population. Like, oh, hey, let's put some more whites in here, some more fucking something else in here, you know, like
How would you say the racial situation was in the military when you were in there?
You know, yeah, that's right. Honestly, I didn't. So I will say from my experience in the Marines, dealing with the Marines, or yes, I mean, I have a pretty good sampling from across the board. There really isn't racism in the military. I mean, somebody of course will be like, oh, whatever. There's okay. So I can think off the top of my head, after 23 years, of like maybe 3 dudes who I thought were like genuinely racist, you know, and not all of them were white. You know what I'm saying? The rest of the time, it's like it really does work like a meritocracy, you know. I mean, you have to put out to get rank most of the time, you know, like you have to, especially when you start to get into like the more dangerous jobs, like the EOD and special operations. You know, it's like there is some nepotism and there is some favoritism, but it's normally along other lines. It's normally never racist, you know, and even specifically. Yeah, I can think back to a time when a team member would say some racist shit occasionally. And the team leader was half black and half Asian. Like nobody really liked the team sergeant, right? The guy just had a big personality. Those things tend to clash when you're in a combat unit like that. He was kind of like Tiger Woods if Tiger Woods was jacked and could shoot you in the face. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this other dude, I don't know where the fuck he was from. I can't remember. But, you know, he'd have some off-color comments occasionally when dude wasn't around. You know, he was a sergeant. The other guy outranked him. So, like, in the military, it just kind of makes sense. It's not like, well, why don't you go say that to that guy's face? It's like, well, because you get in fucking trouble. Like, you might be able to beat him up, but it'll probably turn into you get in trouble and dumb shit happens. But fast forward, we're in Afghanistan, and Tiger Woods got separated from us with the Afghans. So we had some Afghan partners with us, some Afghan army. We get in a gunfight, and we'll just keep calling him Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is separated with the Afghans, right? So he's by himself. He's like a lone American. He's on some lone survivor shit over there because we're all over in another part.
Oh shit!
And so we can hear his gun going off because he's got a suppressor and everybody else has AKs, right? So we're fighting, trying to get back to this guy, you know. And there's no racism. There's no like even personal beefs amongst the team like go out the window when the shit happens. All it is like, hey, Tiger's over there with those dudes. We're going to circle around and go get his ass. I mean, we ended up being out there that night. It was a daytime operation. Bunch of firefighting happened. There was only 5 of us out there. So there was like 5 of us dudes that were had to walk back to our main base after dark. We had a plane above us, and the plane was using an infrared laser. We called it a sparkle. The infrared laser was pointing out like enemy positions that we were sort of like weaving our way between to like get back to our base.
That's crazy.
You know? But I mean, if there was ever a moment in time where some racism could have gone down, where we could have been like, hey, fuck Tiger Woods, he's over there by himself. Let's have a cigarette and fucking, I don't know, man, clean the machine gun for a couple minutes and maybe he'll get smoked. You know what I'm saying? Like it could have went down. But it didn't, and I've never even heard of it going down. You know, it's like racism is such a small part, and who knows, man? Maybe in like some weird base in Kentucky, it's a big deal or something like that. But especially in the Marine Corps, man. In fact, they call everybody green there. Like I'm light green and you're dark green. Like, but we're both green. You know, because that's it. I forgot what we call it. I mean, Hispanics, I guess, are mid green or something. You know.
But you know, that's one thing I think that helped me growing up is living on a base like that and being around people. And, you know, my friend, his dad, big white dude, you know, my friend was blonde hair, blue eyes, his brother, blonde hair, blue, you know, and I go over there and stay the night, have pancakes. And, you know, his dad was hella strict. And my other friend, his dad was a Marine, and dude, my other friend, they were in the Coast Guard, and I hung out with all these people, man. But I never felt like, oh man, his dad's white. I didn't even look at it. I didn't notice color. Yeah. It's just we all hung out. We played on base. We rode bikes together, skateboards, and nobody really made racial jokes. And then when we went to school, they might, oh, you little white boy, whatever. Like the guys would cap back and forth, but it was like these kids in the city, because we were all military brats, so they would talk shit to us. But it wasn't no big thing, man. So when people make it a big thing, and then I seen in prison it was such a big thing, dude. You couldn't touch this railing if it was like by the white table. You could not walk through their tables. You couldn't do this. If I'm talking to a white guy in the yard, some black guy would say, "Hey, man, I heard you were talking to a white guy." It's so like, wow, man, like the conditioning, and people, they just take a lot of things for granted, man. And a lot of these people who talk all this shit, most of them, at the end of the day, would they even invite this white person to the house? Let alone would they invite this black person they talk about they support in their house?
Yeah.
They talk all this shit, but dude, oh man, I'm this and that. Well, invite them to your house then. You really don't like them. You're just pretending because it's good for your image. Oh yeah, I'm down with this, blah, blah, blah. But dude, you're not hanging out with these people privately. Don't try to fool me. I can see you're full of shit. You talk all that black this, black that, but at the end of the day, you wouldn't have 5 black friends come to your house for a barbecue. So it's crazy, man. Like, and I really break down. And like I said, I've butted head with a lot of people after this COVID shit. Once I moved and kind of seen where they were at, I'm like, man, this is like, these weren't even real friendships I thought I had. These were all bullshit friendships, man. So it's the racial thing is so crazy. And then, I wanted to also ask you as far as like, if, being smart in the military, how that plays out. Because I did one in prison, a video about that. And in prison, bro, dudes will try to, they'll try to, split your wig, bro, if you're too smart and they think like, you think you're better than them. And I know, like, one of the benefits is, people will, to some degree, some dudes respect you, but dudes who are jealous of you, most likely who look like you, will try to take you down because they don't want you to be any smarter than them, or, people to like you because of your intelligence. And I've seen guys actually dumb themselves down around certain people to fit in, which is disgusting too. Yeah. So I know in the military, I know like when I would see officers, which, generally these guys went to college, they got an officer position, they were highly respected. The officers club, they had enlisted club, officers club. Those guys were G's. The officer would come through and, he's supposed to be somebody of conduct becoming, so he's supposed to be able to not mess with enlisted guys' wives because he can potentially get this guy killed, sending him somewhere. Yeah. There's a lot of crazy shit people don't realize in the military. Like, dude, there's power, Yeah. And so how did you see that when you seen smart guys and guys who kind of like walked through there and had all the little stuff on their shirt, man? What did you notice from that?
So intelligence is good if it's along a certain, if it's within the construct of the military. Like if you're highly intelligent on military acumen, on planning, these type of things are looked at. However, where it stops is asking questions. So maybe they like intelligence, but they don't like wisdom, because I mean, they can't like wisdom. They haven't won a fucking war since World War II. So, because basically I was what was considered a smart ass the entire time. Right. And typically when you're calling somebody a smart ass, it's because they're accurately and comically pointing out something that actually is a flaw. I mean, that's typically what smart asses do, is they found some like break in the armor of whatever the argument is, and are just clearly pointing out something very simple. And you're like, oh, well, you're just being a smart ass type thing. The military is very obviously it's very structured and very regimented, and it's like a self-licking ice cream cone, and they are their own biggest fan, right? So, they'll teach you this doctrine, and you'll be like, well, hey, that hasn't got us a win in 15 years. Are we still going to try this? And they're like, that's the type of intelligence they don't like. They like if you are smart enough to navigate within their construct to the answers they're looking for. Like, well, yes, sir, of course we need to do the exact same operation you did last time. Like, that person is smart enough to know that the old man wants to see something done in a certain way, but he's not wise enough to know that in the long term it's going to fail because it hasn't worked yet. It's kind of a difficult way to say it, or a difficult thing to explain. They don't like out of the box thinking unless you're in a very certain amount of units. And even if you're in those units, I'm talking like the high special guys, you know, like your Delta and your SEAL Team 6, you're supposed to be out of the box thinking commando. I don't know how many of those dudes know what's up with the Federal Reserve, you know, that they're slaves. You know, I don't know how many of those dudes can tell you about the beast from Jekyll Island. You know, I don't know how many of those dudes would agree with the supposition that this world is controlled by elite banking families. You
So
know,
they don't know about like the Trilateral Commission, the Bilderbergs, or
right. I mean, they're highly intelligent problem solvers. I mean, those guys are problem solvers bar none. But it's like, okay, you're smart on that. You can pick the lock, sneak up through here, use all this high tech shit, shoot this guy, do all this crazy math to pull off a sniper shot. But you can't figure out why we're still fighting the Afghans 20 years later. You know, like that level. I've worked with some of the most brilliant people I've ever met, like in the Marines, but then towards the end, when I was a malfunctioning cog, you know, and I would start to ask them, it's like, oh, hey, how, you know, simple questions like how exactly does this protect the Constitution? Like, just spell it out for me and I'll go along with it. Right. But tell me how. And they're like, they basically just regurgitate the web of lies as if it's the actual reality, when every single one of them are very easily debunkable. But they're, you know, a cyber officer. This guy is like a computer whiz, but just not. So I think it's intelligence and not wisdom, and they don't like wisdom, and they don't like actual intelligence.
now are those guys like? Have you seen where when, like you said, you do have this intelligence, and maybe you can think out the box, and like somebody recognizes, and you know maybe you get tapped to go, hey man, you know when you retire, I got a buddy over at Vanguard, I got a buddy at BlackRock, I got, you know, might have a position over there, paid very likely, you know, do those people, have you seen like where they looking for guys who are, you know, kind of like in the machine, but they could like pull in because they know in the corporate world these guys know how to follow orders, but they're smart, but they'll do things and not really question these things. You know, do they get a lot of those guys get picked from the military?
Yeah, I think they do, and I think the military is set up to select for people who like to abuse other people and people who like to be abused. That's like, so that's the two personality types that the Marine that the military is mostly made up of. You know, people who are just capable of taking abuse. Like, hey, I'm going to give you some order, and there's no real reason behind it, and you're just going to do it because you like being a part of this thing where you get told what to do. You know, and there's people who like that power, that, like you were talking about, like, hey, I'm the officer, I'm over. Talk about some class separation shit. There's an enlisted club and an O club, and you can get can get in trouble for talking. In fact, I got in trouble for dating a female Marine major, right? And I was an officer, so it's like, but I wasn't the right kind of officer.
Ah, yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like, she was like she was clean and from inside the house, and I was fucking like one of the workers outside that, like, so I got in trouble for for fucking an officer. It's shit. What was your question again?
Well, you know, just how the recruiting process and being tapped, but like,
Oh yeah.
Even what you said though about, like you said, the officer and this and that. I mean, it's no different. Like, even if you're a dude from like the street and you got you're wealthy, but there's even within the black society a class that's fraternity. Oh, I'm a Kappa something, I'm a Beta whatever,
Right.
and they're like, we're better than you. It's a different, it's rankings. So yeah, you know, these guys, you know, they're from the hood, and we're, you know, we're part of this boule, this black, you know, almost like
that.
their
Isn't that
own
called boule?
yeah, you know, I'm talking about like that circle who kind of protects the other Mason, but the black version, and they're like kind of like, you know,
Prince Hall.
yeah.
Yeah.
BigHerc916.com to pick up a limited edition GTA poster signed by me for $10, or with your purchase of a Wig Splitter Porsche t-shirt, I'll throw in a free poster signed by me for you. Oh shit! The popos are coming. I gotta hurry up and wash my ass. Go to BigHerc916.com, pick you up a bar of soap, and wash your ass, or else you're gonna be under arrest too. Oh shit! Don't forget to stop by the BigHerc916 store and pick you up a sticker for your car, or a patch, or a sticker for your laptop, or maybe a beanie, or read one of the many books that BigHerc916 has authored. You know how we do it.